someone who is not banned or blocked.
That's right.
These days.
Unbannable.
That's right. You can find him on Twitter at ESPN_MacMahon, host of the hit show Howdy Partners, part of the Hoop Collective. He is banned MacMahon no longer. Tim MacMahon joining us here on the Get Right. Tim, what's going on?
Howdy, partners. How you doing? I've been blocked by a few. I believe I might still be blocked by one of your colleagues, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I'm not going to make it spicy, but I do want to know.
I'm about to say, are we going to make it messy or not? Are we going to make it messy or not?
No, I'm just saying.
Who's your number one block? Like, who's got you blocked? It's like, oh, man, damn, he's got me blocked right now.
You know, my favorite is Terrell Owens from back in the day. OTO got me blocked, and you know, I saw him at an ESPYs after party a few years ago. Went up, hey T.O., how you doing? He didn't want to chat too long then either, so that's
okay. Well, a lot of chatter going on these days because the Dallas Mavericks, Tim, off to their third best start in franchise history at 6-1, back-to-back wins over the Orlando Magic last night and the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday. For you, what has impressed you most so far about the Mavericks and their 6-1 start here?
Yeah, I think the two things that really stand out are just how well Grant Williams has fit, both from obviously what you see on the floor. I also think that he has filled a lot of the void that was created with Jalen Brunson's departure in terms of being a locker room guy, a connector, that sort of a thing. And then, look, Derek Lively II was thought to be a project. And even after Summer League, the idea was, well, you know, boy, the kid's got a lot of talent, a lot of ability. It's going to take some time. And he still has a lot of developing to do. But in a few of these wins, he was a major factor. You know, there's going to be nights like last night where he gets in foul trouble, that sort of thing. We've seen a couple of those. But for this guy to have a few double-doubles, to be, you know, the most impressive rookie on the floor in Victor Wembanyama's debut, not that he's a better player or more ready to contribute, but that night he was a bigger force. And I think he's the guy who Mavericks fans should probably be most excited about, because he is the exact kind of big man that Luka has been longing to play for. And the concern was, well, he might not be ready in time for it to solve the obvious concerns there. He's making an impact as a rookie, and I think that's something that could have major long-term ramifications as well.
Now, Tim, the level of impact that he can ultimately make as a rookie, I think, is the question when you talk about his defensive effort. And Luka, also, you see him giving effort defensively. A question that we are asking ourselves is, can this defense be average? Because that feels like it's what's going to be necessary for them to compete. What do you believe? How can this defense ultimately be average by the end of the season?
You know, honestly, I think that is pretty optimistic. They're ranked 19th now, and look, let's just be honest. They've played a soft schedule. I think we all understand that. I think average is optimistic for this group. With Lively, as talented as he is, but as a teenage rookie anchoring a defense, when you have two elite scorers who, they've got defensive liabilities, and Luka, his effort is definitely better, but you understand that he's a guy that teams are going to go after. Kyrie's a guy that teams are going to go after. Again, I think average defensively would be overachieving. Now, offensively, if their two main guys stay healthy, they should be elite on that end. So what is elite offense? And if you're being optimistic, average defense equal, that's kind of the formula the Mavericks are hoping to find out.
Tim, when you look at this team so far and you look at the starting lineups that they've rolled out here, one of the biggest surprises we saw coming in for the first several games this year, Derrick Jones Jr., what he has brought here. What have you made of what they've been able to get from him so far this season, and is this sustainable given what we know about him throughout the course of his career at this point?
When they signed him this summer, and he was a pretty late minimum signing in the summer, but I had some scouts around the league reach out and be like, hey, that's a really good addition for the Mavericks. Like, that's a really nice value there. Honestly, I would start Josh Green. I think Josh Green should be starting. Certainly, when you look at the net rating, on-off numbers, all that kind of stuff, Josh Green has been phenomenal for them so far this season in terms of making an impact on games. But Jones has been a really solid addition. The game in Memphis had probably the best shooting night of his career. And what he gives them is just a guy who, he's obviously a guy who plays hard and is definitely a major boost of athleticism. And there's no question this is a much more athletic team than what we saw last season.
We're talking to Tim MacMahon of ESPN right here on the Get Right with Reg and KG on 105.3 The Fan. And Tim, when it comes to this basketball team, oh my goodness, I forgot where I was going. I got distracted by the TV and I forgot exactly where I was going. I was like, let's reset. And now
it's just lost.
I jumped in the air like Josh Green and just did not know where to go.
Yeah, oh wow, taking shots at Josh Green despite his on-off number.
Yeah,
the reset was real smooth. I'll give you that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Good radio.
So with that being said, then with this defense so far, and now offensively, what we've seen, Kyrie Irving, while the numbers haven't been eye-popping, it has been good for the Mavericks so far. Has he started to evolve a little bit given what his role needs to be as the number 2 guy, or is this more so just maybe a little bit of a slow start offensively for him?
Listen, like the idea that Kyrie's intentionally taking a step back so he's shooting 43%, no, he understands it's Luka's team, but I think if you want to look at this in a positive light, Kyrie has not really played well for the most part this season, and they're 6-1. He's missed a couple games. He hasn't. There's going to be games where Kyrie Irving's able to take over. We saw that a little bit last night in the second half. He's off to a slow start, and they're 6-1. So I think that's the encouraging thing there. And he seems to have not just an understanding, but an acceptance of kind of, hey, it's Luka's team. Got to figure out how to play off of him. There's going to be roughly 12 minutes a night where it's Kyrie's show to run while Luka rests. So far, so good as far as that sort of a thing. Certainly their clutch numbers, which were a major problem after the trade last year, they're best in league at this point. That's encouraging. But again, they're, I believe, ranked 4th in the league in offense right now, and Kyrie has not been very good. Just as simple, like he has not shot the ball well, which he's got a long track record of. If he's healthy, he's going to put, he's going to put the ball in the hole at a high level.
All right, full disclosure, we've got fans on our text line that are really angling to find out who that blocked person is. We'll leave that where it is for right now. But where I did want to go is Luka Donic. We saw some grimacing from him in the Hornets game, and obviously we know that thigh injury has nagged him for a while. And how concerned should we be? Is this something that's going to again be a issue, or could even become a bigger issue, or is this just kind of continued management from Luka and he's going to soldier through and we shouldn't give too much thought to it?
Listen, if you're going to lose hair every time that Luka grimaces, you ain't going to have much left. I mean, you'll be bald real quick. I mean, he obviously creates a lot of contact, takes a lot of contact, all that. If the thigh was really a significant issue, I have to imagine he would have sat out last night. Jay Kidd is pretty much downplayed that. And he's averaging 30 whatever points per game plus all the other numbers that he's put up. Like I said, Luka grimaces a lot. If he's in the lineup, then I wouldn't worry too much.
Tim, when you look at this team now going forward for the next couple of weeks here, Jason Kidd and what he has done through the first 7 games, is this more so, are we seeing something's different? We're seeing they're playing with a little bit more pace, getting up and down the floor a little bit. What has Jason Kidd done in your mind to make some of these adjustments to where they've gotten off to this kind of start?
It's funny because every year during training camp, preseason, 30 teams in the NBA talk about playing faster, right? It's like everyone says it, and it rarely actually happens. The Mavericks have done that. And I think the biggest reason is because he's gotten Luka to buy into it, right? Because it's hard to play fast if your superstar is walking the ball up the floor. And look, a lot of times Luka would walk the ball up the floor, milk the shot clock, and create magic. But he has bought into playing fast. And, like you saw it you see it with a lot of the hit-ahead passes, and then like last night in crunch time, you see it where Kyrie gets the ball, boom, he's pushing it. Luka's flying up the left, well, flying as fast as he goes, but he's motoring up the left or the right wing rather. Boom, catch and shoot three. So I do think one of the bigger differences has been that they are playing, they actually are playing faster. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't necessarily think that was going to be something that there was follow through on, but there has been to this point.
Now, Tim, yeah, sorry about that. With this, I mean, Jason Kidd likes using a lot of his roster, and this changes over the course of a season. But we've kind of settled on a certain kind of 9 guys, it seems like, in this rotation that are constant. Does this feel like something where this is a fairly established rotation, or should we expect to see a lot more upheaval, seeing the likes of Seth Curry maybe get more opportunities?
Well, there's also going to be guys in and out throughout the course of the season. There's going to be guys who get bumped or bruised, or Maxi Kleber is questionable after missing whatever it's been 2 or 3 games with that toe injury. If he's healthy, he's a rotation player. It seems that Jaden Hardy really has a chance to kind of claim that fourth guard spot that we've seen Dante Exum get some minutes. We've seen Seth Curry get some minutes. It seems like Hardy has a chance to seize that and is doing well with it. But I don't think that, when you talk about like 7th, 8th, 9th guy in the rotation, I don't think anything is set in stone there. Again, I think guys have chances to earn consistent roles, but I don't think anybody's guaranteed anything in those spots.
And along those lines, you see Tim Hardaway Jr. doing his best Sixth Man of the Year impression. I know that there's a lot of people that look at him obviously as a valuable piece on this team, but there's also the idea of a valuable trade piece should this team want to move. Does it feel like there's any level of movement on his value, or is it just like Tim Hardaway is a known commodity?
You know what? I think the longer you get into that contract, which is a 4-year deal, he's a little over halfway through it, and it's a descending salary each season, then naturally I think that the value goes up just because of that. The fact that he is playing well, he's a volume 3-point shooter. The guy's getting up over 9 threes per game coming off the bench. I could see there being some interest there, but like if we're being realistic, they've tried to trade him both of the last 2 seasons. The first year of the deal he's hurt. Last year they weren't able to find any kind of a value. But he's not complaining about coming off the bench. He's playing well in that role. Like I said, I think he's figured out, hey, if I'm in there, I got a green light to let it fly, and he's kind of thriving in that. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'd be shocked if something materialized and Hardaway would be somewhere else by the deadline.
Now, Tim, last one for me. Obviously, you don't keep your eye just on the Mavericks, but you got your eye on the pulse of the rest of the league as well. What has been something that has caught your eye most of the first few weeks of the season that maybe we're not necessarily talking about that we should be possibly?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Timberwolves, the fact that they are the only team to beat the Boston Celtics and they are the only team to beat the Denver Nuggets, I think you got to kind of look up there and say, what do they have cooking? And it's interesting because sort of like the Mavericks in that their number 2 guy, a guy who's got all-NBA history, really hadn't shot the ball well yet. Karl-Anthony Towns, like last night, he stunk. He had twice as many turnovers as he did buckets and as many fouls as he did turnovers, and they were still able to beat the Celtics in overtime. But, you talk about a team that's number 1 in the league defensively. Gobert is determined to prove that he's still the best defense player in the league, bouncing back off of last season. Jaden McDaniels is an absolute stud defensively. Anthony Edwards is a stud defensively. And, man, Edwards – we had some of my nerdy colleagues had their little top 25 under 25 rankings that came out today. Number 1, I think you can figure that out, wears 77 and resides in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
They had Anthony Edwards as the number 2 guy on that list over Vic. That's debatable, but, this is a dude that seems to be taking a significant leap this year into the all-NBA conversation. That's the kind of territory he's going to be residing in.
Looks like a guy playing with a lot of confidence, having been on Team USA, and looks like he's carrying that over so far into the season. Real quick, how absurd was that shot that Luka hit against Brooklyn the other day?
You know what, though? You're not surprised. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, it's hilarious. I talked to Dodo afterwards, and he said, bleep, right in my face. And then he had to go out to dinner with Luka. They had Nick and Sam's afterwards. He's like, I ain't talking about basketball. But he's like, dude, basically, he thought it was going in when Luka let it go because he sees him hit, they call them BS shots, right? Like you see Luka all the time. Every time after a shoot-around or a practice, he's throwing up these goofy, crazy shots. And, like, as ridiculous as it was, like the three-quarter looking like a right-hander coming out of the bullpen type of shot, it's probably not the most difficult shot that he's hit in his career. There's a list of them. So unbelievable and also kind of predictable.
Tim, tell the folks so they can find you what you got going on these days before we let you go.
The Hoop Collective is kind of the place you can listen to me yammer on a regular basis. We do have – I was on Low Post today, a little bit of Mavs talk there at the end, and then obviously my work's on ESPN.com.
Tim, as always, I appreciate you answering the phone for me one more time,
That's
man.
right.
I appreciate you doing that before the end of 2023, man. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Hey, listen, I had to do it because I play pickup ball and Reg is out there, and when he gets mad, people get broken noses. So I had to do it. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't think my hand will get up that high, Tim. I think your nose is safe, to be completely honest.
Sounds good, fellas. Y'all take care.
Yes, sir.